evening. Welcome to MCS News. I'm Amoy Jeter.
And I'm Patrick Owings.
Thank you for joining us. It may have been April 1st, but the members of the Shelby Regional Narcotics Task Force weren't fooling around when they started knocking on doors around the county. At 1 minute after midnight, the squad began a county-wide drug bust. They seized over $1,000 in cash and $1,500 worth of cocaine, as well as over 10 weapons that were in plain sight when the police entered the homes. The task force arrested 21 people, including the daughter and grandsons of Calera Mayor George Roy. Force Director Bob O'Connor was pleased with the success of the operation, especially in the fact that no one was hurt in the incident.
The only combat unit from Alabama called to active duty during the Persian Gulf War is set to return Friday. The Alabama Army National Guard 2nd Battalion, 152nd Armor, will be released from duty April 9th after unloading at their home station in Oneonta. The battalion had been mobilized and sent to Fort Hood for training, but had their orders canceled after the cessation of hostilities. An honor parade is set for the next Saturday, the 13th, in Clara at 3:30 in the afternoon.
A new twist on an old law is disturbing drivers around the state. Here's Christy Kuhn to tell us why.
The Alabama State Legislature originally passed the tint law in July of '83. It prohibits window tinting that impairs driver vision. In the same year, the Attorney General declared the law could not be enforced because it did not set specific limits on the degree of darkness allowed. Recently, a legislative committee amended the law to make it more specific. Now, all passenger cars may have only the 6 upper inches of the front windshield tinted. All other windows must allow 32% light transmission. Danger to law enforcement personnel is getting most of the publicity for the renewed interest in tinting, but safety advocates first proposed the law, insisting 90% of the ability to drive safely is based on clear vision. They say dark tint impairs night vision and causes problems due to loss of eye contact, but drivers say this isn't so.
The only problem I had was backing up sometimes if there wasn't at least a street lamp or something. I couldn't really see to back up, but as long as there was some light, then I could see fine.
Okay. Many students at Montevallo will have to remove the tint from their windows, but a few will manage to slip through the cracks.
Applies to all motor vehicles registered in the state of Alabama. It does not apply to vehicles coming in from other states visiting, or vehicles passing through the state, or to university students who are here temporarily for 4, 5, 6 years, whatever, nor to military personnel who are here temporarily. It is just people who have registered vehicles in Alabama.
The amended law went into effect March 1st and carries penalties for those who don't comply.
You can be issued an arrest ticket, then you would have to go to court and you would pay a fine. And you would be required to have it removed.
According to Officer Pat Northcutt, Montevallo City Police have already begun enforcing the law. It is up to the officer whether to ticket the vehicle or to let it off with a warning. For MCS News, this is Christy Kuhn.
If you have tinted windows and think they may be too dark, the University Police and Traffic Safety Center have purchased a tint meter to check the vehicles. The device will be available in the next few weeks.
The Alabama State Legislature will be soon addressing major changes in the state public education system. A bill is being drafted to remedy such problems as incompetent teachers and dropout rates. Also included in the bill is a plan to decentralize the governing structure of the public schools. The major concern at the university is the College of Education, where certification changes would modify existing programs. MCS News will keep you informed as more information becomes available.
This weekend, Montevallo High School welcomed the participants of the All-American Boy and Girl Pageant. State Director Nita Funderburg coordinated the contestants, who ranged in age from birth to 25 years. Only in its second year, the contest judged its participants on beauty and photogenic quality. This year's winners will go on to participate in state and national competitions. MCS News would like to congratulate this year's winners. Of course, if you miss your chance to smile for the camera, you can catch the event at the same time next year. And when we return, we'll tell you how some UM students are preparing for the business world by learning proper luncheon etiquette.
Plus, we'll check in with Sam Bonner for this weekend's weather. Sam?
Looks like we might have some of that wet stuff on the way this weekend, for Friday anyway, but for the weekend we might have a pleasant surprise in store for us.
Welcome back to MCS News. Mozart and Beethoven are names that come to mind when speaking of famous musical composers, but there are some very talented and serious music majors here at the university taking their love for music to the limit and following in the footsteps of the old masters. The student composers presented their original works recently in the music department's annual spring concert held in LeBaron Recital Hall. This year's program, entitled A Concert of 20th Century Music, featured religious ballads, a saxophone quartet, and even a few nursery rhymes. Comedy was the name of the game this week in Camaratorium. As We Can Make You Laugh, performance troupe came to campus. The ensemble put up $25 against UM's straight-faced students, betting that they could make anyone crack a smile. The troupe featured young comedians who performed stand-up routines and heckled audience members, leaving the audience howling with laughter. The troupe will continue their tour performing at other universities around the country.
Keeping your elbows off the dinner table and sitting up straight shouldn't be a hard task for college students. However, many were reminded of their manners last Wednesday when the home ec department held their annual business etiquette luncheon. The seminar covered proper dining etiquette from start to finish. The event was held to show students that potential employers are hiring the best and the brightest and those who know which fork to use. Well, Patrick, I tell you, all week long it's just been great outside. The sun is shining. But on the way into the studio today, I saw a couple of clouds. I'm wondering if that means rain for the weekend.
Yeah, Sam, I'm just a little bit worried. I have a day planned at Oak Mountain. Could you tell us what's going to be going on this weekend?
Well, Patrick, believe it or not, you may be able to experience that day at Oak Mountain because the weather's going to clear up. But first, we have a little bit of nasty stuff to experience before then. Right now, the current conditions, you can see it was really pretty this afternoon. The current conditions now, though, 74 degrees. We have a wind at 10 to 15 miles an hour. We have a 30% chance of rain. That rain chance will increase as we go on through the night and as we get into the day tomorrow. The conditions for today were a far cry from what we had in days past, and we do expect more drastic changes as we move on through the evening. Looking at the national map, we can spot the major reason for today's slight disturbance in weather. As you can see, we had a low pressure area that covered parts of Louisiana, Texas, and Mississippi. I think Mississippi experienced the worst of it. They had quite a bit of rainfall today. That low pressure area was a combination of a warm front and a cold front. And it did cause all that rain, and it also caused us to have quite a few clouds covering us today. Those clouds were caused by that low pressure area, like I said before, and they created a canopy over the state, holding in those warmer temperatures. Huntsville was our cold city for today. They reached only up to about 74 degrees today. That was 4 degrees lower than any other city in the state. Their low this morning was 52 degrees. Which was not a surprise to us considering that they seem to get the snow first and the colder temperatures before anybody else in the state does each year. The temperature being higher here in Montevallo than in Mobile was quite unusual. As you can see, Mobile reached up to only 76 degrees, while in our area we reached 80 degrees, which is quite unusual because Birmingham is so far north of everybody else. But talking about some unusual temperatures, Fraser, Colorado dipped down to 7 degrees this morning. Beyond Colorado and Seattle, though, things were a bit different. They had quite a bit of rain today, and they reached up to only 54 degrees. Chicago had rain as well, and Houston, Texas had thunderstorms. Their high was similar to ours. They had a high of 77 degrees. New York City, though, was a different story. They had sunny skies and mild temperatures. Los Angeles, California, though, is one city that we cannot ignore. They reached up to a high of 79 degrees, and they had sunny skies. Even though the weather is so nice in Los Angeles, I'm very satisfied to be in our area because the conditions will be improving very soon. First, though, for tonight, we do expect thunderstorms. Have to have a little bit of nasty stuff before the nice stuff comes in. The lows will be in the middle 50s, which is a little bit higher than we've had each other night this week. We'll have winds about 10 to 20 miles an hour. For Friday, we'll have continued nastiness. We're going to have thunderstorms and quite a few raindrops. And the temperatures will remain what they have been the rest of the week. It'll be a high of 80 degrees. And as we move into Saturday, things are going to change drastically. We're going to have golfing weather. It's going to be beautiful. There'll be a few patchy clouds as you wake up in the morning, but it should clear as the day goes on. And by Sunday, we expect the temperature to be reaching up to about 80 degrees, and we will continue to have very sunny skies through Monday. By Monday, we should reach to 82 degrees, which is the highest temperature we've had in quite some time. So I'd recommend dressing very lightly, especially if you plan on being outdoors. It'll be a nice weekend for a picnic, and the sunsets will be really gorgeous. So try to take advantage of them if you can. For MCS Weather, I'm Sam Bada.
Thank you, Sam. And when we return to MCS News, we'll check in with Mr. Sports to see what's going on in UM athletics. Chris?
Thank you, Mr. News. Patrick Owens. The Montevallo baseball team off to their best start in years. We've also got a little tennis and a little bit of golf to talk about. Come back, folks.
Body shop, 71st and 1st.
Hey, no use. Love your commercial. Safety belts, right?
That's where you're going, man.
I love Mrs. She loves you guys. She doesn't buckle up either.
Oh, nobody's listening.
You need anybody listen, Odie Driver's part-time. Really an actor thinks it's just a little slow down. Just put seatbelts in my cab. Nobody uses them. Guess they feel safe with me.
If we'd had half a brain, we'd have buckled up.
Hey, pump of breath, I do have half a brain.
You could learn a lot from a dummy. Buckle your safety belt.
My friend Nancy's been doing a lot of drugs. I know it's catching up with her. I can see it coming. But what can I do? If I say anything, she'll think I'm not cool. And I don't want to lose a friend. I mean, it's her life. Right?
If you have a friend who's in trouble with drugs, don't just stand there. Do something.
Welcome back to MCS News. We have some good news to report here at the station. Amoy?
Yes, Chris, before we begin, I'd just like to say from the entire news team, we'd like to congratulate you on becoming a top finalist in the AP competition.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So that's for about they would tell what's going on. Now let's get on to the important stuff. You know, last season the Montevallo Falcons finished with a 26-26 record. It was the worst year the Falcons have had since Bob Reisner became head coach well over a decade ago. And as you would expect, the veteran coach made some changes during the offseason, and boy, have they paid off. The Falcons are off to their best start since 1985 with a 22-6 record. Montevallo picked up 2 wins over Miles College Tuesday. In the opener, Mike Waits and Chris Ellis combined for only the 2nd perfect game in school history in the Falcons' 11-0 win. It was the 7th time this season that Miles has had a no-hitter pitched against them. The Falcons won the nightcap 12-2. Montevallo has a big 3-game set at home this weekend against AUM. The 2 District 27 foes will play a single game on Friday at 6 and a twin bill on Saturday starting at 4. The Montevallo golf team finished 3rd yesterday in the District 27 championship at Bent Brook Golf Course. The Falcons finished with a 54-hole total of 896, 30 shots behind defending champion Huntington College. Montevallo's Rusty Stevens and Jim Strong were named to the All-District team. Stevens finished 3rd in individual scoring with a 217 total, while Strong's 222 total left him in a tie for 6th place. The Falcons will play at Bent Brook again next week in the UAB Invitational. Now, Birmingham baseball fans got some good news yesterday when the Chicago White Sox signed Bo Jackson to a 1-year contract. Jackson will be spending a lot of time in the Magic City trying to rehabilitate his injured right hip under the supervision of Dr. Jim Andrews. The general consensus is that the White Sox will allow Bo to play for their AA affiliate in Birmingham when he begins his comeback sometime after the All-Star break. Bo's new team will be at the Hoover Met this Saturday to take on the Barons, and our own Jonathan Nelson will be out there watching his favorite team, the White Sox, and he'll have all the highlights and interviews on next week's MCS Sports. Now, it won't exactly be Wimbledon, but the University of Montevallo will play host to a tennis tournament April 19th through the 21st. The BMC is sponsoring the event for Montevallo students, and there will be a men's and women's division. Deadline for entry is April 16th. For more information, call Sean Arrington at 665-8602. And I've got both shoulders thrown out. Yesterday, I was trying to get ready for intramural softball, and I threw this shoulder out, got this shoulder thrown out for tennis, so I'm walking around with my knuckles dragging the ground. Get me to the hospital, quick.
Well, Chris, we hope you feel better. Thank you.
Thanks.
And now let's take a look at the stories we'll be covering for you next week on MCS News. The university is set to celebrate Honors Day next Thursday with special visits from Alabama legislators. MCS News will be there to find out what they had to say. We'll also tell you how the recent minimum wage increase is affecting Montevallo students, and we'll have a report from Comer Auditorium where poet Cornelius Eady will read from his work. All this plus the latest in sports and weather is coming up next week on MCS News. And that brings another edition of MCS News to a close.
Please be sure to set your clocks ahead 1 hour on Sunday morning at 2 a.m. as we return to daylight savings time.
We'll leave you now with some beautiful scenes from around campus. Have a great weekend.